What's up, YouTube? Today we have a special guest with us, PhillyRampage. He's a partnered streamer on Twitch. He's been streaming for about 8 years, give or take, and he's an absolute crack gamer. Currently, he's been focusing on Rocket League, but now let's talk about something else. So you want to go ahead and start it off this time, Jake?
Sure. So the main thing that we wanted to talk with you, given sort of the information we got from you before this show, is your TV and movie choices.
Sure.
Because there's quite a bit of overlap, we noticed, sort of collectively between the three of us, and what you said your favorite shows were.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched a ton of them. I just had to narrow it down. I could name 100 if I had to. But yeah.
Fair, same. I'm a huge TV fan, but like way more than movies. Realistically, I've watched so much TV, probably way too much TV.
I'm the same. More TV than movies.
I like it more because they tell I feel like good TV shows tell a better story than a movie. They aren't restricted.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are very few movies, let's just say standalone movies, not like trilogies or whatnot. Right. There's very few standalone movies whose story I'm like, wow, that was really good. Like that I would love to see that made into a TV show so it could been more in depth and even longer, because I know they did what they had. They did what they could with the time that they had. But like that story would have been lit if it was on TV and I got 3 seasons of it. Very few movies.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why the Marvel Cinematic Universe does so well is because they learn to tie all of their stories together with.
It's great, and it's why DC sucks.
Yeah, I was about to say the exact same thing, Dave.
Why DC screwed up. I've never seen one company in DC that literally had another company do all the hard work for them and show them what worked, and then they go, we'll just do something that sucks and not make money, and everyone hates us.
Yeah, I mean, why copy the winners, right? Like,
yeah, the way they wind the TV shows into it. Like, I watch a lot of the CW shows, the Green Arrows, the Flashes, and then they just go, yeah, we're gonna do something completely different, even though they're successful. I feel like their TV shows in DC are more successful than their movies are.
Yep.
I mean, how long did Green Arrow go for? Like 12 seasons? Like. More than it should have, granted, but like
too long. That's how long it went.
But they were the writing was entertaining. Like I enjoyed it. I tuned in week after week.
I want to say it was 6 seasons.
I think it was more than that.
I was exaggerating. It might have been like 8 or something. But
yeah, I was thinking 8.
Either way,
was a lot.
Like the Flash, the Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, like they're well done. They're well done.
Yeah, even the stuff that didn't come out on like the main, like their Constantine show where they had the spinoff for John Constantine and then they brought him into the Legends. Like that was really good.
Yeah, and the way that they intertwine like the multiverse where like Green Arrow will go to Central City and help the Flash do something, and then like the Flash will go to Starling City or whatever the hell they called it by the end, and like team up with Green Arrow to help him with an enemy. Like they did a great job, just like the MCU does, of intertwining the connectivity of all their things. But when it comes to movies, DC literally run by like a bunch of deaf, dumb, and blind people. They just don't get
it. Yeah.
Which is fine with me because I like Marvel stuff way better. But
that's beside the point. That's beside the point.
Just as a comic book fan, I want them to do well. Like I love the Batman stuff.
Yeah.
The Batman storylines, the Batman villains, the Batman just lore is awesome. Superman, I could give or take. I mean, it's cool sometimes, but I mean, how cool are you if like a rock like beats you? Like not the Rock. That would actually be cool if like Superman's like kryptonite was Dwayne Johnson, but like no, it's like a little emerald. Like
I now want to see a kryptonite Dwayne Johnson fight Superman.
Well, we'll see Black Adam, right? We got Black Adam coming in.
Yeah.
So
hopefully it's good.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
You never know.
I don't doubt Dwayne. I doubt the writing.
Yeah, and that's always the issue.
Yeah. And to that point, too, like, I don't know why they didn't hire the actors who were on the show.
It makes no sense.
Like,
could you imagine if they had someone else play Vision in WandaVision?
Oh no,
You know what I'm saying? Like,
people would be mad.
hello?
That'd be weird.
It'd be super weird.
Yep.
Like, it just doesn't even make sense. And when you see Marvel do all this stuff first, and you know it works, you see the fandom, you see the success monetarily, everything works. I mean, except for like the Hulk movie, but like most of the time, Marvel hits it on the nail, like the head on the nail, like. And they literally showed you the blueprint, and DC was just like, nah. Let's do the opposite of that. Let's do the opposite of that successful stuff.
And I don't understand it, because DC is willing to copy Marvel in so many other mediums. They've definitely done it. And to be fair, Marvel has done it in comics from DC, but there's always sort of that back and forth of, hey, we did this really cool thing or created this character that we love, and then they'll make a parody character of it, or like, I just don't understand
that Flash guy's so cool. Let's make a guy but call him Quicksilver.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is what it is.
Or like
except for Aquaman. There's no like Aquaman in them.
There's Namor.
Yeah, I was gonna say Namor.
Although actually Aquaman's a ripoff of Namor, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
That goes back to like World War II Golden Age comics.
I guess DC kind of won that one then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
It does happen.
Whoa. The public doesn't know that they love Namor yet.
Look, Namor is... I'm a comic book fan, and...
I won't put anything past Marvel. So bring it on. Bring on the Namor standalone film. I'll watch it.
I think the issue with where Aquaman wins over Namor is the same as Batman beating out so many other smaller publications and heroes, is the rogues gallery between the two. Even though, admittedly, Aquaman villains are dumb, they're just better and more fun than Namor's enemies. Namor's enemies are a lot more serious in their portrayal.
I feel like the enemies make the protagonists. If the protagonists have good enemies, those series do well. But if they have crap enemies, no one really cares how good the good guy is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
You don't have to be a badass to take down Billy from the block. Like,
no.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got like, let's go a different route. You got Doc Ock, right? You got Venom. Like, you got some baddies. Spider-Man's lit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery is like one of the best.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's why you probably ask 100 people if they like Spider-Man, like 95 of them.
My wife is the only person I know who's like, Spider-Man sucks.
Spider-Man's my favorite. Spider-Man's my wife's favorite superhero. When we saw Infinity War, the first part of the finale thing, and spoiler alert, when the dude disappeared in Tony's arms, bro, my wife was like, I'm out. I'm done. I'm not watching this shit anymore. She was pissed. I'm like, you don't understand the writing. You just gotta wait till Endgame, and then she's like, fuck that movie. I'm out. Spider-Man's gone. I'm out. She was in the theaters pissed.
My niece got introduced to Marvel at a young age. She was about 11 or 12, and one of the first sets of movies that she got to watch was Spider-Man. Because my sister's like super careful with what she watches because she gets nightmares like really easy, and she loved Spider-Man. So she was the same way when that movie came out and she watched it in theaters. And then on top of it, because my family is twisted, she got for her birthday, which was 3 months after the movie came out, she got a bag of ashes with a Spider-Man mask in it as one of her presents.
That's awesome.
It was the funniest thing.
That's awesome.
She didn't like it, but we all laughed.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But Jess was so upset. And like me being a fan of the comics, like I knew it was coming. Like I knew way more about her going in it. She's a fan of the Marvel stuff. She's actually the reason I finished WandaVision. After the first 2 episodes, I was like, I'm out. This is stupid. I'm like, there's nothing Marvel about this. I'm watching reruns of I Dream of Jeannie with Vision. Like, there was nothing Marvel in the first 2 movies at all. And I'm like, what are they doing? Are they trying to bore me to death? But she actually enjoyed it, so I stuck with it. And then obviously the Marvel stuff became more prominent. And I got what they were doing. And she's the reason I finished WandaVision. I almost gave up on it.
Well, good on Jess, because that show's amazing.
Yeah, no, the second and the whole second, third, and last third of it was awesome. The first third of it I could have skipped and been fine.
Chat wants to know why no Flyers swag.
All right, so here's the issue. My wife is from Washington, D.C. She is a Capitals fan. So hockey in this house is very touchy subject. I will be getting something Flyers and probably putting it on that wall over there.
Okay.
But it's got to go away over there because when the wife comes into the room here to like bring me food while I'm streaming, whatever, I don't want her ripping it off the wall because it'll be away. One of the things that we enjoy in this house is sports rivalries. She's a Washington football team fan, the team with no logo, and a Capitals fan. So football and hockey is definitely a fun time around here, especially before COVID, because whenever her teams would come to Philly to visit, we'd always go to the games.
Right.
Like right before the season before COVID, first game of the season for the Eagles, they hosted the Redskins. We sat front row behind the Redskins bench, like Adrian Peterson 3 feet in front of me, like sitting there. Like it was awesome. And we've gone to a ton of Caps and Flyers games. We always get like our I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but in Philly, there's a place called Xfinity Live. It's literally on the other side of the parking lot from all the stadiums. And it's got like all these bars and restaurants you can go into. And they have like giant, massive TVs. So you don't go to the game to watch the game. You can actually be in that place. And it's a good atmosphere. It's fun. But what we usually do is we go there for dinner before the game and we watch StubHub and we watch the tickets. And as the game time gets closer, this ticket prices drop dramatically. And right before game time, 5-10 minutes, they're like crazy cheap. We snag them, we walk across the parking lot, and we go to the game. We went to a Caps, the first year I met Jess, the Caps and the Flyers played each other in the first round of the NHL playoffs. And the game 3, the first one in Philly, we sat 4 rows off the ice for a playoff game for $50 a ticket. Because that's all we did. We did our StubHub trip. And we just did it all the time because we just, who doesn't want to sit 5 rows off the ice? But yeah, sports is definitely a touchy subject in this household. Baseball, neither of us care about because it's a boring sport.
Yep.
I don't mind going to the games. I like being in the stadium. It's a fun atmosphere. But on TV, I don't need to sit there and watch 174,000 games or however many games are on the schedule. It's way too many. Way too many.
And they take too long.
I'll watch playoff baseball. That's exciting. But I don't need to watch the first 162 games this season. I just thought it's too much for me. I got too much going on, and it just the older I got, the less and less and less I watch baseball. Basketball is lucky because that's my favorite sport. I'm a Sixers guy. I trust the process. 1-0 so far in the playoffs. Played basketball my whole life, and she was never a basketball fan. So when we got married, and obviously I watched a lot of basketball, she became a Sixers fan. So we have one team that we root for collectively, and that's always fun. So it's my favorite team. But the other two sports, touchy subject. To answer Gold Dome's question.
Gotcha. And see, we over here, it's interesting, and don't hate me for this, but like really the only sports I follow is football, and I'm a Dallas fan. So
disgusting.
It's okay.
Yeah. Look,
I watch Tim Tatman every day, and he's a Cowboys fan.
I was about to say, and it's not because of Tim.
He hosted me back in the summer 3 times, right? And the 3rd time I donated to him. I go, I really appreciate everything. Like, you've really helped my channel out more than you'll ever know. And he was like, yeah, that last time I hosted you, I saw that Eagle stuff in the background. That might have been the last time I ever hosted you. Like, so I was thinking about getting like a Dallas Cowboys helmet emblem on my OBS. So if he ever did host, I could pop it on real quick, and it'd be like it looked like there's like a Dallas Cowboys thing on the wall back here.
Right.
But, so
that's funny.
I respect. I'm not the kind of Philly fan that's like, if you're not a Philly fan, F you, you're stupid, your team sucks. Like, I'm a realistic sports fan. Like right now, we are the worst team in our division, hands down. I have no problem admitting it. Dallas, it's probably between Dallas and Washington who wins our division this year. I'm not one of those guys who just hates everyone that's not a Philly team or fan.
Yeah, I'm a Giants fan, so I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
We're the worst division, and we suck in this division. What the fuck?
Pissed were you when we threw that last game in week 16, week 17 last year, and gave Washington the playoff spot?
It was such a bummer.
I had so many Giants fans friends just texting me so angry. Like, I made the decision to pull Jalen Hurts at halftime.
Yeah, why did you do that?
Oh,
it was
man.
So funny though.
I love it. Yeah, we get into a lot of sports fights here, but mostly only ever about football.
I'm all about sports fight. Like, if I feel like in another life I would be a barber and just run a barber shop and talk sports all day. that was my calling. I just missed it. Maybe in another life though, because I'll do sports all day, every day.
That's how I got into football. The guy who cut my hair was a Dallas Cowboys fan, and he'd always have their games playing. So Grandpa would always take us to the same barber.
Are you from Texas?
I am not. I'm from Wyoming. Well, I'm from Washington, but
pick whoever you want to root for because there's no one in 100-mile radius of you.
Yeah, there's a lot of Broncos fans, which I am also a Broncos fan.
Are you guys all from
it's the only within
Wyoming?
driving distance.
Yeah, these two live with me.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know that.
Yep.
I'm originally from North Dakota, though.
Yeah, I kind of tell with the accent.
It's only on that word, though. Only on North Dakota. I could say like South Dakota is just fine.
Because we just
Montana.
We just had Carson Wentz here for a minute, and he kind of every once in a while that word or that accent would shoot out. Not he could hide it pretty good, but every once in a while he'd say a word in an interview. And you're like, oh, that's right.
Yeah. It also gets real bad when he gets drunk.
Oh.
And
like
that there.
It depends.
Just to clear anything up about the Bulls jersey too. In case I haven't really been reading everything in chapter if someone asked, since they asked about the rest of it. Obviously my last name's Jordan and I'm old. So when I was a kid, Jordan was still playing. Unlike most people that watch basketball now, never saw him play. So just as I'm getting into basketball, it's the early 90s, and that's just when he turned into the GOAT. So it was kind of hard for me not to root for Jordan. And that's actually the jersey I bought in middle school and still have.
That's awesome.
Because, like, when you're a kid, if someone has the same last name as you, you're like, oh, that dude's sick. Like, I got to root for that guy. And it just so happened to be that the guy with my name turned into like the best all time. So it was pretty easy to root for him, but I'm still a sick.
Yeah. I still remember Googling my last name when I was younger, and Google started being the thing and being very disappointed.
How young were you when Google became a thing?
I was like 17, I think.
Okay.
Before it really was like mainstream and everyone knew to use Google.
So you're old enough to remember life without the internet.
Yeah. Especially in my house, we were behind with that kind of stuff. But like we had a computer.
That don't.
Yeah. Oh Lord.
Could you imagine? Like, you always thought the internet was always a thing because it always was for you. Could you imagine what that's like? Like, they don't know what it's like to go to school and have a pager.
Yeah. Or Blockbuster Video. I had a long conversation with somebody about that the other day.
There used to be a television show. You know how you want to watch a music video, you can just YouTube it?
Mm-hmm.
But back then, no YouTube. So they had this channel called The Box. It was called Music Television You Control. And it was basically this channel that you call in. It's like pay-per-view, but for music videos. And you call in, you type in a code for a thing, and they charge you 99 cents. And then they put your video in a queue. And then you just wait for your video to come up. It was like TRL on demand, basically. And when I was a kid, that's how I watched music videos.
I remember sitting and watching MTV waiting for the loop late at night when they would play the music videos and they would loop through. And so if you wanted to see Nirvana again, you just had to wait another hour and they'd play Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yep.
When I was in 9th grade, I had pneumonia for like 2.5 months, and I was out of school for a long time. And I pretty much lived in my parents' couch because I don't know if you ever had pneumonia, but it's you barely have the power to do anything. So I couldn't even make it up the stairs to my bedroom. I basically lived in a living room for that time. And that channel I was talking about, The Box, literally was like, they had one rule that they wouldn't play the same video back to back. So if you picked a video that was up next in the queue, they'd have to play someone else's video before yours came back. but it was literally like Marilyn Manson, Beautiful People, The Prodigy, Firestarter, like back to back to back to back, like just alternating all day. They were like the two hits at the time. I'll never forget it. But it's funny how music can instantly take you back to a time like that you remember everything about just because of something musically.
Oh yeah. I know smell is the strongest sense tied to memory, but I it's music and the emotions that evokes have got to be right behind it, because I still, like, Jake's dad actually used to play Hotel California acoustically all the time for us, and like I cannot hear that song without thinking of memories of hanging out with Jake and his family and stuff, and hanging out at their house.
Yeah, there's 1,000 songs like that for me that I just associate so heavily with my dad playing it growing up. It's one of those things that either like it's such a big thing from my childhood that I absolutely love it, or there's ones where I'm like, I've heard this fucking song so many times, I never want to hear it again. If someone plays it around me, I'm angry.
My wife's like that with music. If it was on the radio more than twice a day, back when she listened to the radio, like in high school or whatever, she's like despises that song.
Yeah.
If it comes on like serious radio, she instantly changes the channel. She's like, F that song. F that band.
Fair. Yeah, we did a lot with music. Styx Renegade is another one, that Jethro Tull. Jake loves Anything by Aerosmith.
How fucking dare you?
But yeah, classic rock was a big one for us, even though we grew up, we're definitely not the music of our generation. Jake and I never really got into that.
Music was always a huge part of it. I was in a band for like 10 years. Like, I've always been musically inclined, I guess you'd say. It's just always been a big part of my life one way or another.
I feel like I knew that, but had forgotten. And that's also funny, because that's two guests in a row now who have a history in music and
my
music.
bass that I played in the band, the 5 strings hanging on the wall back there.
How did I never notice that?
It's always been there. It's always been there.
I guess because I'm distracted by the Eagles.
It's always there, and Billy's usually always right there on top of her cat tower.
I do watch Billy a lot. Your cat's awesome.
He's very friendly.
So what kind of music did you make?
It was like harder, like Killswitch Engage, like heavier music with singing and screaming mixed in.
Okay. So
stuff I
probably would have listened to.
I could probably send you.
Yeah, you should shoot me a link. That would be actually really cool.
Yeah, I'll actually just send it to you right now. But I've just always I learned to play guitar with a buddy that I met in college, and then because he was really good at the guitar, I was like, I'll just learn to play bass and we can just kind of jam out together. And that's why I learned bass, which isn't much different than guitar, honestly. The right hand, like the strumming part, is actually harder when you play like fingers instead of with a pick. That was probably the harder part of learning to play bass than guitar. But
I was about to ask, do you prefer finger or pick bass? I also play bass. That's why I'm asking.
I prefer fingers because I like to like slap it. I like to slap at a bass. I like to do all that kind of stuff too. But there were some songs where like just the bass patterns and stuff with I'd match whatever the drums are doing. Like there were certain songs where I got to freestyle a little more, so I do the fingers because then there's more liberties. But then certain songs where it just wasn't necessary, and I would do pick. But I also did backup vocals, and I found it was a weird thing with my brain where I found it easier to do the backup vocals if I was playing with a pick, because it's just less to think about with a pick than the fingers. Sense. So if like I had a hard vocal part in a song, I'd most likely be playing that song with a pick. But I like
that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'm trying to find this link. Where is it?
That's something I've always wanted to be good at, but never was, and that's musical instruments. Between all the damage to my wrists from martial arts and just not having talent for that, I never really made it far with any instrument, but I admire people who have that.
I just sent you in Discord the link.
Oh, perfect.
So you have it.
Nice.
We
So
went down to Baltimore and stayed at this studio for like a week and a half and just recorded like 5 songs. It was awesome. It was one of my favorite experiences I think ever with music. I mean, it was really cool. It was like there's like bigger bands that like record at the same studio, and then like the guy that did all like the big name bands, his apprentice that was learning under him was the one that he was like our engineer. So like we got to go to like this big deal studio, but obviously not have to pay the money to work with the big wig. We got his understudy, but he obviously knew what he was doing anyway. So it was a really cool experience. For sure. Something I'll never forget.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that sounds cool as hell. Pardon me. Dear God. Work has been awful, and they have like these dandelions and sunflowers that are growing in the grass like right outside my window. My allergies have been off the chain all freaking day. Sorry if I keep coughing on you guys. I'll try to mute my mic faster. But anyways, let me look at the list here real quick because I know I had more stuff to talk about, but if I don't keep myself on task, we'll just keep rambling and talking about random stuff all day, which is fine by me.
The show, David.
True, but I want to make sure we hit some of the points.
I don't even know any of the points.
I know, Kyle. We keep you in the dark. You're welcome.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm always in the basement room. Kept away.
You're literally 5 feet from me. Well, you're more like 10 feet, but come on. I'm also in the basement when we're doing this, so calm down.
Yeah, but I'm kept here.
We don't let him go to the other floors because that's where
it's like Harry Potter. You keep him under the steps.
Exactly. See, Philly gets it. We can't let him around, civilized people.
Then what am I doing here? I better go.
Fair. All right. So let's see. Looking at the list. I just lost it because I'm special. There it goes. Okay. I wanted to talk about why is that playing? I wanted to talk about this for a second because I know Jake hates it. Absolutely hates it. But you mentioned that one of your top 5 shows is Lost. And so I have to ask, were you happy with the ending of that show?
Yeah, 100%. I actually liked it that other people hated it.
Okay.
But Lost was a show that, for those that even paid attention to it, know that it was a show that you could talk to people about for hours because everyone had a different opinion on it. Everyone thought that something different was happening. Everyone had a different favorite character. Like there was all these, it was a show that got like a million questions in your head and really ended up only answering 20% of them, which is unfortunate. But it's kind of a show where the writers just worked themselves into a corner and there really wasn't any way out of it that was going to please everybody. And again, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a realist, so I kind of saw that coming. But I just love the whole, how every episode had a flashback where not only did they meet on the island, but a lot of these guys met off the island previously, which is just a cool way to intertwine not only the storyline of that particular episode, but everyone's overall arc. It was just a very deep show, and I just enjoy things that make you think like that, as opposed to like a very simple, shallow, like I'm watching The Simpsons. Like it's just mindless fun, you know what I mean? But I like shows that make and movies that make you really think. Like I don't know if you saw Tenet, but that show just, I feel like I have to watch that 6 more times before I understand what happened.
Tenet was good. As much as I dislike it, a good movie for that kind of stuff is Memento. I think it's a terrible movie, but pretty everyone should watch it once.
Yeah. Any Christopher Nolan pretty much movie's gonna check that box.
Yeah,
it's kind of
that's fair.
Like Inception, Sick, the way they did that, it was a great movie.
So confused.
Poor Kyle. Have you seen any of this that we're talking about, by the way?
No. I was talking about Inception. I was so confused throughout the entire movie. I'm like, what? Huh?
That doesn't surprise me. You tend to be a very linear thinker, and I feel like people who are very linear problem solving. Look at pretty much any Christopher Nolan movie that isn't Batman and just throw it in the trash.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I thought Inception was good and all. It's just I couldn't follow.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It was interesting when he took over the Batman franchise, knowing like his previous movies. Because obviously the Batman movies before that were going downhill fast. After the first one, I mean, some people like some stuff about the second one, but really it was just, it started here and then it was just a steady decline. And then when he took it over, kind of like I'm interested to see the Pattinson one. Like, I don't know what they're going to do with that either, but I'm not going to judge it before it's out. Just, you know, just like I didn't do the Christopher Nolan Batmans. It's just, he took his style of making a movie, but was able to do it within the lore of Batman. I thought it was pretty cool. Without like, because you know the comic book fans they're not gonna understand an Inception depth level movie,
right?
But he still was able to take his style and make it something that basic comic book fans could still enjoy, still get into. But it was just he revived the Batman franchise.
Yeah,
I think everyone's going to be pretty grateful for that for him forever.
Yeah, I'm hoping they don't kill that with the Pattinson movie. I'm
glad they're doing something different. They're making him like the younger detective kind of Batman, because that's something they've never really done in any of the past iterations of movies or TV shows. The detective side of Batman's never really explored.
Right.
It's just kind of like him and one of the main bad guys and him going, "Where are they?"
Yeah, it's a lot more Frank Miller and a lot less Detective Comics Batman.
Correct. It could be cool. It could flop, but it could be cool.
I'm curious if he's going to be the opposite of Ben Affleck, because in my opinion, Ben Affleck is a awful Bruce Wayne and a decent Batman. And I feel like Pattinson could pull off a good Bruce Wayne, but I don't know if he's going to be able to pull off a good Batman.
I respectfully disagree.
Okay.
I think here's the thing. When you have the cape and the mask on, most of the time Batman's cool because he's just running around punching people, driving his car. Like even the Val Kilmer and the Clooney Batmans, when they have the mask on, like some of those scenes were still cool. You know what I mean? It's hard to mess up Batman with the mask on and cape on when he's fighting people. But the Wayne part of it is where it's definitely hit or miss. But I actually enjoyed, especially in the Justice League movie, where he's kind of like I'm old as F Bruce Wayne. This is kind of like my last ride. Like when he met Barry Allen, right? And Barry Allen's freaking out because he's the young kid and he's like, "Holy shit, you're Batman!" Like that whole like demeanor of like, "Yeah, I know, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm kind of over it at this point, but I kind of need your help." Like I feel like he had that surly like, "I've been around the block a long time, so now I'm trying to get younger people to take over for me because my back hurts. I'm kind of tired of doing this all the time." I thought he played the part well based off of that angle of him being the old vet guy. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the Clooney and the Kilmer ones were just kind of like, what is this dude? Who is he supposed to be? What direction are you coming from? You're just trying to throw a guy into a suit and hope people like it. There was no angle, there was no backstory, there was no perspective on what that type of Bruce Wayne was trying to do. It was just like, hey, Clooney's hot at the time, let's throw him in this. You know what I mean?
No, I'm a big defender of Clooney Batman, and for a very specific reason. I think it's because that Batman is it is much closer to the Adam West era of Batman than anything else, and I am fine with that approach. It's super over the top, it's super campy, and I love it. It's dumb as hell, and you can't take it seriously, but that's kind of the point. That's why I like that. It's a good bad movie rather than a boring Batman, which is what Ben Affleck is to me.
I can see that. If you like the campier, over the top, bright colors, like fighting the Two-Faced Joker, Mr. Freeze, everyone chill out. Like, like you got the kind of campiest. If Arnold Schwarzenegger is the bad guy in a comic book movie, it's not going to be serious.
Yeah,
it's going to be over the top campy. But they did that well if that was what they were going for. And obviously, like you, some people enjoyed it.
Yeah. I enjoy it in theory, but it's just so hard for me. I think because the other films exist, and it's weird because I've watched all of the animated series. I've read, I can't say all of the comic books, but I've read a crap ton of Batman comics. But for some reason, the Clooney Batman, unless I go into it like prepped and set with my mindset of this is going to be like goofy Batman, I cannot stand it. Because like the first 30 minutes of the movie, you have all of the Mr. Freeze dumb lines that I could handle most days. And just the classic Arnie, you mentioned one already, chill out and cool down. And, like, how many times can you mention the weather, Arnie? Like, but yeah, I agree that it's fun. It's campy. I can see why some people like it. I am more of a fan of the darker side of Batman stories. But again, the only reason, like, I want goofy Batman with the Nolan villains. But I'm weird, and I admit that.
I love Jim Carrey's The Riddler. I don't know if that's a hot take or not.
That's
so good.
That's
okay.
Fair.
Riddler.
Yes.
If he was in a Nolan movie, I think it would be amazing.
Yeah,
because he would take his wacky weirdness, but it would still be a darker version of the wacky weirdness. Yep. It wouldn't be the campy version. I think his dark version of the weird Riddler would be insanely good.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to see I know it's not possible, but I would love to see a Christopher Nolan Batman with Jim Carrey as the Joker or with Jim Carrey as the Riddler and Heath Ledger coming back as the Joker. Oh my God. I don't know that I would ever watch another Batman movie ever again. Like,
do you think if Heath was able to make a second movie as the Joker, that we wouldn't look at that first one as highly as we do now?
I don't know. I think it's so hard to say. It's the sort of thing that, if he comes back and he nails it again,
right.
I think you look at it like with even more adoration. But there's always a chance that it just doesn't quite, capture that magic that it did the first time, and it kind of diminishes the experience as a whole.
And it would ruin the first one. Not ruin, but diminish it. It's a good word.
Yeah.
I always wondered what it would be like if he was able to make a second one, because obviously the first one is just insanely good. But
yeah,
it's a shame.
I think along the same lines, like I would be nervous to hear that there would be a second, because how do you top that? Like, it created a whole nother type of Joker that even bled into the comics and the animated series for a while. Like, Joker had been tending dark in certain arcs anyways, but he kind of, the way the Joker's written throughout history is very much like a roller coaster. Like, he goes from the campy, funny, clown that he is to a very dark, sinister figure, and then back up. And so I don't
like, you went too far, Alan Moore. Dial it back.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you guys saw the Zack Snyder cut, right?
Yep. Well, most of it.
Would you be okay? Did you see the ending, the flashback scene?
Yeah.
I tapped out like 3 hours in.
All right. So,
I saw it.
So David saw it. Would you be okay? Because I know most people would say no without this caveat. Would you be okay with another movie where, what the hell is his name? Lead singer 30 Seconds to Mars. Leto.
Jared Leto.
Would you be okay if Leto was the Joker in another movie, if he was the version that's in that flashback in the Snyder cut? Because that shit was weird.
So, if they kept it that way, maybe, but it would have to be the right arc. You can't take, I can't think of the arc now, but like, you couldn't do something goofy like one of the Joker gas arcs where that's his big deal and do it with Jared Leto. It would have to be something like The Killing Joke or something very dark, and where the Joker,
like Robin gets taken out kind of thing.
Under the Red Hood type stories.
Yeah,
it would have to be something like that.
Because that version in the flashback was wild. He was saying some off the chain shit. Where I was just, oh my god, like when he was talking about giving Batman a reach around, I'm like, what?
Yeah, it was like Alan Moore meets Frank Miller.
It was just out there, bro.
And it's all the
I wonder
future.
what people would have thought if they saw that in the theaters, that version.
I think there's some people that would be even more enraged at Leto's Joker.
They were pretty pissed at the version they got, though.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more venom they could have spewed.
Well, I mean, he kind of like, did you follow any of the stuff that he did while they were filming that? Like, he kind of brought that on himself. Like,
yeah, but that's to his co-stars. I mean, like, to you and me watching at home, he didn't send me full condoms and a dead rat. You know what I mean? Like,
true. Yeah. You're right, but I don't know. Between that and just the way, like, I honestly don't have a problem with Jared Leto's performance as much as I do the fact that they let him ad-lib as much as they did. And the writing, like the writing for that Joker was awful anyways. But going back through and like looking up the trivia and stuff, the amount of ad-libbing that they allowed him to do, and every scene that he ad-libbed was awful. Every scene that people are like, that's not the Joker, is because that was Jared Leto's idea. Like,
yeah, I get it. He tried to do like the method acting that Ledger did, and it just backfired.
Yeah.
I get it. I kind of feel like they set him up to fail though with that version anyway. Because when I was watching the movie, I'm kind of like, what actor could I see doing this Joker and actually enjoy it? I couldn't think of a single actor that I actually like that I would want to even see try that version.
Yeah, well, and that's again where I say the writing was bad. I 100% agree with you. I don't think anyone succeeds there because that Joker is not the Joker. They tried to make him this psychopathic serial killer, and while that's true of who the Joker is, it's not how he identifies himself.
Yeah. And
how we think of ourselves defines how we behave, and I think
King SoCom, that's way off. I think Leto is actually really talented. I just think the Joker is not it.
I agree. I have seen him in other stuff, and also he definitely has musical talent.
Of course.
But I think he has the ability to act, but it has to be in the right role. Jake, you made a face at that. You disagree that Leto's talented?
Acting wise, kinda, yeah. I don't think he was great in Dallas Buyers Club either. I think he's the worst part of that movie. I think people get swept up in it's a great movie, and it gets attributed to his performance that's not that great.
I've legitimately not seen Dallas Buyers Club, so I actually can't comment on that.
I actually liked it, but
I like the movie a lot, and I think his performance was fine, but I didn't think it was, great. And I've only seen him in that where I thought he was okay, and then as the Joker, where I thought he was awful.
I liked him as the bad guy in Blade Runner.
I haven't seen the new Blade Runner. Maybe that'll sell me on it.
It was pretty good.
It was pretty good. I'm actually excited to see him in Morbius coming out.
Yeah,
taking that character on. That should be interesting. Like I'm saying, I'm not saying he's the best actor in the world. I just say there's some things he's been in that I actually kind of really enjoyed his acting.
Yeah,
but I see what you're saying. He's definitely not like amazing in everything he's in. I mean, even his small part in Fight Club, I enjoyed.
We don't talk about Fight Club.
I forgot he was in Fight Club.
Yeah, he was like the douchebag that just went to get his face kicked in. Yeah.
Yep, I forgot about that.
I forgot that was him. Yeah,
and then he turned into like one of Dude's right hand men, like getting everybody in shape, and people forget that he had like that spiky beach blonde hair.
Yep.
No, I remember exactly. That's funny. I forgot about that.
I just want to destroy something beautiful, guy. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
He was the beautiful guy getting destroyed.
Literally destroyed.
Yeah. Oh, Fight Club. Fight Club's another one of those movies that is technically, in my opinion, bad, but I love it. Like I know the face. I agree. And I will defend it, but I think it's technically bad. Like there's so much of the movie that makes me go, if I didn't love this so much, I'd hate it.
Yeah, I feel like if different actors were in it, that movie would suck.
Yep. Yeah.
Like instead of Pitt and Norton, if it was like Jason Statham and like Andy Garfield. You know what I mean? You'd be like, this is trash. Bro.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Pitt and Norton going back and forth with each other, I thought was like the perfect match for those two characters.
Absolutely.
Okay, chat. First of all, listen to what I said again. I would think it was trash if I didn't love it so much, okay? I love Fight Club, but when I watch it objectively, I'm like, man, I love this movie, and I don't know why.
There are parts of it, looking back at it, where you're kind of just like, this is unnecessary. They could have done this part.
Yeah, I would agree. But, oh, man, there's so much good movies and nostalgia and everything tied into. And I love what, to kind of bring it back, I love what DC and Marvel are doing. It's actually one of the reasons I loved WandaVision, is they're starting to tie in a lot more stuff from the comics and more nostalgia based stuff to try to get the like true fans and the elitist gatekeeping assholes on board, and to watch them do the old shows that I grew up watching with my parents, like I Dream of Jeannie and the Brady Bunch and stuff like that. I loved it. But
I was fucking sold episode 1. I was like, this is a show made specifically for me.
I don't know if you ever watched it, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that show.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the first show that really tied in what was going on in the movie side of the MCU with the TV side. Because like that show lasted for so long that it spanned across so many of the movies. And like it did a good job of literally like setting up. Like I remember before the one Captain America movie, they all started dipping into the Hydra thing, and then that whole Hydra twist happened. And then like after the aftermath of like, I think it was Winter Soldier, then like S.H.I.E.L.D. in the TV show had to do different things differently because of the way that S.H.I.E.L.D. was looked at after Winter Soldier. Like the way that it went up and down with the way the movies went up and down perfectly, it was just amazing to me, the way that they could keep the continuity and the storylines woven together like that. I just really enjoyed it as a fan.
It was a good example of why you should involve the lower forms in your content. Like DC has this separation, like TV isn't good enough to touch the movies, and we see that in other things as well. It's just more prevalent in the comic book world, and Marvel really breached that barrier now and is like, no, we're gonna make everything amazing.
Yeah. They literally showed you how to do it, and DC just ignored it.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
It is, especially as a comics fan, because there are some DC stories that I really like, and sadly, we're probably never going to see them.
Probably not.
Yeah, I hope that they, now that they're kind of like selling some of the properties back to Marvel, that like I feel like the X-Men, which was my favorite growing up because of the TV shows I'd always watch after school. Like you come home and the X-Men like animated TV show was always on. So like I grew up with the X-Men, and they were like my favorite. And they've definitely had some decent X-Men movies, definitely some flops too. But I feel like now that they're selling a lot of the properties like Deadpool and whatnot back, I love the way like Colossus and stuff was woven into Deadpool like that. Like going to knock on Professor X's door and Colossus answers and stuff. Like I feel like now that they have those properties and can kind of freely do more with them, I hope they revive the X-Men stuff like they have some of the other properties, because I've just, like I said, I grew up with the X-Men, I love them, and it definitely needs a revive.
Yeah,
for sure.
I know Jake is really into the X-Men, actually probably more than I am, but I do love, I can't think of his name, the first class Magneto. Not to say that anything. Michael Fassbender.
He's good.
So good.
I like McAvoy as Professor X too.
Yeah,
they both nailed it.
Yeah, I think they're phenomenal. The way they go back and forth, like the kinship that you see in the older versions of those two characters, they did a really great job of introducing as the younger versions. Like you feel how good friends they are. And then it actually hurts when you see them have like go their separate ways as the younger versions, because you know what they turn into already as the older versions. And like you saw how close they were. And then when that split comes where they kind of, all right, now we got to pick sides.
Yeah.
And like as the viewer, you feel how hard it is for them to like go their separate ways. I thought they did a phenomenal job.
And to follow Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen, like
I know, right? Like,
and
yeah, it's the toughest thing in comic book movie history. Follow those.
Right. Can you imagine if a TV or movie producer approached you right now and was like, "Hey, we want you to play Gandalf"? Like, how would you say yes to that? Like,
yeah, there's certain characters you just can't touch.
Yeah.
Ever again. Like pretty much, I think Ledger did that with the Joker, and that part of the reason that everyone hated the Leto one is because it was so far away from how good the Ledger was.
Yeah.
I feel like anytime someone tries to do the Joker now, he's going to be compared to the Ledger, and it's not going to live up. I just feel like as good as job he did for the Joker, he kind of ruined the Joker for everyone else moving forward, because no one's going to touch his Joker. It was just so perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, now that people are paying attention to voice actors, it's kind of funny because for a long time, I remember no one cared that Mark Hamill was the Joker in the cartoons.
Right.
And then now is like things are starting to get more popular and the wider masses are paying attention to the things that we got beat up for in high school and junior high for.
You know how you were saying like the young... I was too big to throw in a locker, so I don't know what that's like.
Same.
Now we were talking about the younger versions of Magneto and Professor X. Even though they didn't come out and say he was the Joker, in that Gotham TV show where the guy from Shameless was basically the younger version of the Joker. What do you think of that?
I think that show was fucking awful, but his performance and a couple other of like the villain performances were fucking amazing.
I agree wholeheartedly. The show itself was trash, but there was a couple of characters where they did a phenomenal job, and I thought
absolutely.
Let me ask you guys this then, because I haven't had a chance to talk to Jake about this either. What did you guys think about Cobblepot in that show? Because I don't know where I land with that.
I was entertained by him.
This is one of the ones I liked.
Yeah.
Yep. Same.
He was a very entertaining character and performed excellently.
I liked Nigma too. I liked Nigma, and I liked how him and Cobblepot like were kind of off and on friends, and like kind of hated each other at one point, and then were best friends, and then hated each other again. And I don't know, I just liked them both.
Edward Nigma is in Gotham.
Yeah. He's the CSI guy. He's like works in the police station. He's the nerd in the background doing the DNA test.
The show was so bad I couldn't finish it.
That's how he starts out as the Riddler. But yeah, he originally works for the police department.
That's awesome.
It is. I liked his arc a lot.
Me too.
It's one of those shows I might have to power through one day. I couldn't finish it. They changed so much from comic origins of characters, and I try not to be an elitist with that kind of stuff. Like I like new takes on characters, but it was so much of a fundamental change on things that I just couldn't get through. I think I finished the first season and that was it.
I think I watched the first 2 seasons.
They couldn't
for me, it was Gordon. It felt like a character assassination of Gordon. I just couldn't get past.
They couldn't have picked a worse kid to be Wayne, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That too, yeah.
They might as well just change the lore and made him a female. Like, it was the worst casting. Every time he was whenever the Bruce Wayne character was on the screen, that was like when I went to go to the bathroom or go grab something to eat out of the fridge. And then when he was off the screen, I come back because he was just terrible. He ruined the show for me.
Yeah.
The Alfred, on the other hand, I love the Alfred character, the guy that played Alfred on the show. I really enjoyed him. But
he was, at least for the first season, he was really good. I don't know past that. Did you watch Pennyworth?
No.
It's good.
Is it?
That was.
I say, Kyle, you watched that one with Lisa and I.
Oh, I watched that separate from you guys before then.
Oh,
I straight up binge watched that through a night.
Jeez.
Like before I even moved in with you guys and everything, it was great.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting because Aleister Crowley is one of the is like the villain, uh, which is interesting because they mix some of the like historical stuff with the comic and sort of mystical surroundings of Crowley. It was an interesting take. Um, I don't know that I'd watch it again, but it was definitely a good series to watch once.
Okay.
All right, Jake. I know you probably have more on your list.
Yeah, I'm not trying to keep the ball rolling in any specific direction because I know you said you had different segments or whatever.
Oh no, you're absolutely fine.
Good.
When I get on a topic I enjoy, I just go and I gotta reel me back in, if you know what I mean.
Oh no, you're fine. We do the same thing. That's why we actually plan for it. We have like little things that if we die out, we'll start talking about this instead. But it's
Okay, cool.
What is the next one you have there, Jake?
Well, we actually haven't talked about any of the shows he has listed as his favorite shows, other than Lost. But
we could talk about the one we know.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have a whole thing with we have an almost cult. We have an almost cult following of Bryan Cranston. First of all.
That's fair.
Only those two.
And for those who don't know, we do another podcast called Life is Unfair, and it's a Malcolm in the Middle rewatch podcast. Which of course Bryan Cranston plays Hal, the dad.
Yeah.
Well,
so was Breaking Bad weird for you having that background?
Yes. And it has created what we call the Cranston Verse. And the Cranston Verse is basically this theory that all of Bryan Cranston's roles are canonically in the same universe. Now, obviously, that's absolutely insane, but we've added it as a segment to the podcast where we force his roles to be canonically in the same universe, and it's a ton of fun. But
it's interesting.
Yeah,
for sure. I got a quick question before you move on to that. When him and the guy that played Jesse, his name's escaping me, but when those two were having that thing on Twitter where they were teasing something, and then it ended up just being like that tequila or whatever, how stoked did you guys get with theories on what they were teasing?
Oh,
you guys had to go crazy with that.
Yes, we didn't get to talk about it on the show, but I went insane chasing all kinds of different theories and rabbit holes down YouTube and Twitterverse, and it was so good.
I definitely did not. When they announced the tequila, that's like along the lines of what I was expecting. It was something on that level.
Well, you have a pessimistic worldview, and I was looking forward to like Breaking Bad prequel sequel.
It's called Better Call Saul, and it's fantastic after the first season, David.
It is good. What did you guys think of El Camino?
I
liked it. Yeah.
It was an interesting way to give kind of closure to Pinkman.
Jesse,
yeah.
Would you have preferred that or a TV show spinoff that just kept Jesse's good character going?
I think it worked better as a movie.
Okay.
I feel like that character already had a pretty good arc that just sort of needed a finishing like epilogue, which just works well as a movie. I don't think an ongoing series really would have been able to go anywhere interesting.
I don't even think it needed. It was something that was definitely wanted. But the way the finale ended, it would have been fine with a lot of people, like as still one of the best finales in the past 2 or 3 decades of any TV show, I think. Yeah. If they didn't have El Camino still. Just with Jesse screaming, driving away, busting through the fence, just flooring it like that. And there's still a lit ending, but I think it was cool that we got to see a little bit into the future of Jesse as well. I wasn't mad at it.
No.
Yeah.
And I like the sort of it shows that it's just another way. I mean, honestly, the ending that they had shows that as well, but it's just doubling down on that sort of the chaos doesn't end. They really did a good job in that show of showing the ripple effect. You know, one person's action causes so much crap in the people around you. So I loved the way they kind of continued that in El Camino.
I agree.
So
I agree.
See, this is why I love it, because I know Philly has good taste in TV. So and for some reason we're all huge into TV shows. I do agree with what you said earlier. Like, TV is, I don't know why, but TV is one of those things that is head and shoulders above movies for me. Like, I don't know, it's got to be something epic like the Marvel movies, or I just don't have the interest anymore.
I feel like I've always looked at TV shows as books for people that don't like to read, because they have the storylines, but they're more visual people, so they like to see it come to life in front of them. So like, some people like shit talk people that watch tons of TV, but I kind of look at it as just like, if I was spending an hour reading a book or spending an hour watching an episode of my favorite show, what's really the difference? Yeah, honestly, I'm just watching a book basically instead of reading.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, that kind of snobbery is really interesting to me, because it's kind of cyclical. Like, for a long time, novels were looked down on as like TV is, you know, not even now, really. TV's not really looked down on that much now, but like, it was the TV of its time when the novel sort of took over. People were like, oh, you're not reading poetry, you're reading novels, you're reading fiction? Disgusting. That's for poor people.
Yeah. It's so funny, the things people decide to. I know we're not supposed to dive too deep into the content creation side of things. I'm breaking my own rule here, but
is that like you guys don't talk about that part of your lives or something?
Well, no, it's just that's the whole point of this show. There's 8 million podcasts talking to streamers about content creation and how did you do it, bro, and how do I beat you? Like, I don't want to do that. I get
it.
But
there's a ton out there. You're right.
Yeah, and the snobbishness that goes in every medium, and you know, obviously the one that we experience the most is content creation. But you know, why do like? I hate that people do that, because especially, it's always, at least in my experience, if you guys have different experience, let me know. But it's always the people who are like, yeah, I mean, you know, I don't like that. That's cool, but if you know, you like it, you do you. And then they turn around 5 days later and they're like, you're reading a book. What's wrong with you?
Get with the times.
Ugh. So obnoxious. People drive me nuts.
Yeah, it can happen for sure.
Sorry, my sound just cut out. All right, are you guys there?
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
I went to say a sentence and then
no.
I'm just kidding. I was just messing.
Oh, I was about to lose my shit. Ooh, I am the king of audio issues. You're all right.
King of tech problems, but
hey, you right.
I've never had a problem with my screens.
All right. So going back to Breaking Bad though. Did you watch it as it was coming out, or was it something that you like watched later?
That was a tune in every week kind of show.
Okay. Oh.
There's some shows that I would say, obviously back in the day there was no DVR, so you had to watch when it was live. You know what I mean? Because we're that old. But for like the shows that have come out since you could DVR stuff, or there's like websites where you can go back and watch past episodes, like that kind of deal. There, in that era of TV, there's a handful of shows where I was definitely tuning every week. Like it probably started with actually the first one was probably The Sopranos, because I was in college during that time, and we would make a point where everybody that wanted to watch it would come over to someone's apartment you had to be there 5 minutes early. Once it was the time of show, the door was locked. No one could come in. If you spoke and interrupted the show, you were out. Like, we were dead serious about The Sopranos back then. But like most of the shows that are in my top 5 that I sent you, those were definitely tune in every week. Except The Wire. I did the first 2 seasons of The Wire aired before I got into the show, but then once I was in it, I caught up and then watched that every week. But yeah, there's definitely a handful of shows where I just couldn't wait for the next episode to air, and I'd watch it when it aired versus DVR or whatever.
That's interesting. I've always had, I've never had cable. So until recently with the Marvel shows that have come out, you know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision, I didn't really have that experience because the shows I actually cared about, we'd just watch later or rent them or buy the DVD set when the season came out, stuff like that. So it was watching these made me think back to all the people who watched, you know, the epic shows like some of them like The Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, Lost. Like, I can't imagine watching Lost week by week.
So frustrating, bro.
Oh,
you had to wait a whole week to get hopefully for them to answer one of the questions they raised in the past weeks, and they never did. They usually had to wait like 2 seasons before they answered something from 2 seasons ago. But you had all week to theorize with your friends, and there was like a couple radio shows in the Philly area where like the hosts of the shows were really into Lost, so they would have a segment of their show where they would have callers call in with theories, and there would just be a big talking point, and I just got into it deep, and that's one of the reasons, like, not just watching the show, but then all the stuff that happened in between the episodes, like the other 6 days of the week with friends and stuff like that, and the conversations that it brought up it was like a all-encompassing like event, not even just something I sat there and watched on TV because of everything that came with it. Here's a quick question. What is your preference, kind of based off what you just said? Do you like the Netflix style where they launch a whole season in one day and you can binge it? Or do you like the Disney Plus Mandalorian shit where they give you one a week?
I prefer the Netflix overall. I've gotten used to the one a week, and it's kind of worked because, you know, I have my kid and my wife works weekends. So with the Mandalorian, where it was a show that for whatever reason, actually, even though my son's 2, like something about the pacing and the music of the Mandalorian, he would actually sit down and watch it with me. So that was really dope because he'd actually sit on the couch and pay attention, and it was something we could both kind of look forward to and spend quality time with. The Marvel shows, not well suited to keeping a toddler's interest. And so on those ones, I'm just like, just give it to me now. Like, but yeah, no, I think overall I prefer the Netflix style.
I definitely do not. I definitely like the week by week model. I think a lot of mediocre shows benefit from the sort of binge watching because you don't really have time to think about the show if you're just watching every episode back to back to back. But I think like any show that like is really well structured and, you know, has something to say, I think benefits from the like week to week, giving you some time to sort of process it and think about it and, you know, talk about it with other people. I think, like, especially WandaVision, I'm so glad it was week to week instead of coming out all at once.
Yes. I think it only works with stuff like WandaVision. Like, I don't like it with like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where it felt like a cinematic movie that was stretched out. It doesn't bother me.
I agree on that case.
Okay. Because it doesn't, like, Malcolm in the Middle, we rewatch, and I've been introduced to that week by week, and it doesn't bother me. It's a lot of fun, and it's kind of like what Philly was talking about. You have the stuff in between, you have the time in between, and you come back to it with kind of fresh eyes, knowing that something new is going to happen, stuff like that. But when it's something like Breaking Bad, the story is so compelling. And I get so obsessive. I don't want to wait a week for that. Like what?
I like the Netflix version because it's kind of watch at your own pace. You don't
Mm,
have to binge it, but you have the opportunity if you want.
yeah.
Um, I just prefer it, I guess. I know my wife does. She hates having to wait a week to watch the next episode. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of The Mayor of Easttown. It's a show on HBO Max. It's about a female detective, and there's a child murder. It's basically like The Killing. You ever see that on AMC? Similar to that
Mhm.
show, but it takes place in Pennsylvania. They actually filmed it on our street, like across the street from us, like Kate Winslet's filming scenes. Like
Huh.
our neighbors, we were all supposed to remove our cars from the street because we have driveways as well. But our neighbor has like 4 cars, so they park a couple of them on the street, and like their cars actually got into some of the shots, like
Huh.
of the first episode that was aired. But that's a show that we got into. Obviously, we wanted to watch it because it's filmed in this area. They have a lot of names of places and things that we would recognize because I'm from here, and so we've been watching that, and the season finale is this upcoming Sunday. But it was something that we really wanted to watch, but the fact that we got to wait a week to watch the next episode kind of deal. She was
Right.
definitely not happy with it.
What's it called again?
Mare, Mare of Easttown.
Okay. I'm in the market for a new show. The one that I was
Yeah, it's
watching
good.
just ended. So
It's only a 7-episode. I don't know if it's going to be more than one season or if it's just like a mini series. That this season's only 7 episodes, but it's good. I like it.
Okay.
So to give my point on whether it's Netflix or Disney,
Yeah.
I have to say I prefer the Disney way of doing it. Just release one a week, mainly because I have an uncontrollable urge. If I have the next video available to me, I will literally watch that show until it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I have to go to bed for work. If I don't, I don't sleep, and I have to go to work. It's like it's the same thing with like watching 911 right now, and I'm just watching and watching and watching.
Oh, Kyle. But I get it though. There's so many people that have that. They don't have the binge control. I guess like I like to binge shows, but I'm not gonna do that. Like when it's bedtime, I'm.
I feel like there's
ya.
some shows I wouldn't have watched if I couldn't have binged them, especially on Netflix. Like every once in a while, like you were saying, you're in the mood, you're in the situation where you're looking for something else to watch because you always hit those rough spots where you had a kind of catalog of things you want to touch and you kind of run out of them without having ones on deck, and you're like, crap, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And sometimes I just take a shot on a random thing that has like even a 75-80% on Netflix that I might be interested in. Take a shot. Like I don't know if you guys ever saw Money Heist on Netflix. It's a Spanish show about a group of people that rob a bank for a specific reason, and it's dubbed over, so like you don't have to listen to them speak in Spanish. And I thought that the dubbing was actually done pretty well for what they're doing. It's actually pretty interesting. I think the 4th season just came out, and it's if you're looking for something different, I would suggest Money Heist. It's actually pretty addicting once you get into it. The characters are really cool.
Huh.
And there's this guy that basically put a team of people together, and he's like the mastermind, but he doesn't actually go in to do the robbery. He has all these people that he teaches his plan, and then they implement it. And he's on the outside looking in, trying to run things remotely. And he's like crazy smart, like not like 2 steps ahead of the police, like 47 steps ahead of the police. Like he's got plan A, B, C through like double A, double B, double C. Got unlimited like audibles if he has to call them kind of thing. Like it's deep. It gets really interesting. But again, it's dubbed over, and the dubbing is done pretty well. But it is dubbed. If that's not everything, I totally get it.
Sounds like Hispanic leverage. That's
yeah,
kind of the way that show's
it's called
set
Money
up.
Heist. I feel like
Money Heist.
I can't remember what the Spanish actual title of it is. But I like it. It caught my eyes. I gave it a couple of. I usually give a show 3 episodes, and if it catches me in 3, I'll stick it out. If I'm completely turned off, I'm out. And if it's like kind of in the middle, I'll give it like 2 more episodes to catch me. It's kind of my rule.
I think that's a good rule and a good way to give something a fair shake.
With most people,
yeah.
Every once in a while, there's those people who are like, "If first episode don't get me, I'm out." You know what I mean? But like, you gotta let it simmer a little bit. You gotta let the story build a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. So to touch on one of your other top five, that I'm curious if you could tell me why you enjoy it, because none of us have seen it. The Wire. It's one of those shows that for us has been on the back burner of like, we need to watch this, but we've never
Yeah.
watched it.
So it's definitely a classic move. It's definitely a classic TV show where I feel like there's nothing else that was ever made like it.
Okay.
You're watching, it's 2021, right? So if you're going to go back and watch it now, first thing you have to take into consideration is that this was filmed in the 90s. Okay. So it's not pretty, it's not polished. It was on HBO in the 90s, and it's kind of like pre-Sopranos, even. Like you got to go into it thinking it's going to be gritty, it's going to be not super clean, but if you go in there and you're okay with that kind of TV show, it's really interesting. Basically, it's one of those shows that has a bunch of like, how like if you're watching 24, you guys seen 24?
Yeah.
You're following Jack Bauer, right? And you're following the terrorists, basically. And then there's a couple side characters like the president in most of the seasons. So you got like the three different kind of stories that you watch as the viewer, that things that the other characters don't necessarily know about the other storylines. It's like that, but it involves the police and the local kind of like drug dealer underbelly of Baltimore scene. Okay. So you have the police dichotomy and all the things that the detectives have to do on their side of their lives, and then all the things that happen to the drug dealers and the people that are part of the different gangs and how they intertwine. But there's also a political side to it as well, because there's always like a mayor in one of the scenes that's running for re-election, and he always has to have like his hand in the cookie jar when it comes to the drug dealers, but also the cops and the police chiefs. And it's interesting because the way that the characters changed over time, like Jack Bauer, he was the main agent throughout the whole thing, right? Other than when we thought he died and then like he comes back or whatever. But for the most part, he's the main protagonist. And then each season there was a main bad guy that had its arc by the end of the finale. And theirs is different because like one guy that ends up being like the noob detective in season 1, in season 2, he becomes like one of the higher up detectives. In season 3, he ends up going undercover in a different unit. So not only are you watching the people that are in the original unit, but now you're introduced to this whole new unit, and you see how their perspective it is and how they intertwine with the storylines that already exist. And then in like season 6, like that one guy is like running for police chief. So you see how his whole life arc changed, not even just his character, but like he wasn't the same thing in every season, just like a slightly different version. Like he matured and he became something different. And then like one of the drug dealers who was like the runner in season 1, he was like the kid that the guy had, running back and forth to the cars. He eventually did what he had to do to take over like one of the power spots in the gang, because he got older and like he matured. And then by the end of that season, either he's like the new kingpin or he got killed by somebody. And there's like the writing and the way they intertwine everything from a cop's perspective, from the kid's perspective, from the drug dealer's perspective, from the political. I just thoroughly enjoyed the way that they kind of like, there's even situations where you feel for like the drug dealers and like the bad guys and the gang members. Like they show them from angles that most shows or movies don't. And I always reference this when I don't know if you guys like this or not, but the first season of Daredevil with the Kingpin in it, I thought that no show has ever done more to make the bad guy sympathetic to the audience than what they did with the Kingpin in first season Daredevil. Like there were times where you wanted him to win, and you felt bad for him being stuck in situations. And The Wire does that with the, let's just say, antagonists of that show. Even though that show's so back and forth, even sometimes you're rooting for the gang members against the cops, because you're just like, this one detective's under your edge. You're like, fuck that cop. I hope this guy kills him. Because not just the gang members, but like some spoiler alert, some of the cops get killed. Like it's very real. Like the guy that wrote it was from the Baltimore area, had done a ton of research. One of the actors in the show is actually a gang member from that area, like lived the life that they showed on this show. and it was
Crazy.
very realistic. And from obviously I don't live in Baltimore, but it was very like it was very Christopher Nolan Batman realist, kind of dark, versus like pop culture TV shows. It was very kind of like, because I think the same guy that did Sopranos is the one who did The Wire, and
Nice.
he kind of like kept that realist background and perspective of the people in these situations from that area, and portrayed it on screen very well, in my opinion. And a lot of people just love that show. So again, if you can go back and it's very, even the intro is very grainy and just not clean looking for something in
Right.
2021. If you can get past that and just fall in love with all the different characters, whether they're on the good or bad side of the law, I think you'll really enjoy the whole thing, the thing as a whole. To
Well,
answer your question.
one of Jake's favorite TV shows is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so I'm pretty sure we're fine with the grainy grittiness of the 90s.
Oh, absolutely.
That works.
But that's awesome, and I thank you for the synopsis.
Yeah, I think if you can again just get past the this thing was filmed 25 years ago thing, then you might really like it.
Chat's trying to make you mad, Jake.
Yeah, aren't they always?
Yeah, fair. That's so interesting. There's so many good shows out there. It always drives me nuts because I always feel like I have nothing to watch, and then I'll have conversations like this with people who are as avid TV watchers as I am, and they're like, "Have you watched this? Have you watched this?" And no. And then by the weekend, when I have time to watch TV, I'll be like, "What was that show?" That's kind of what happened to The Wire with me. Like I keep meaning to watch it, and then
I'm one of those people that's always looking for something new to watch because I pretty much watched everything I've wanted to watch. So if you ever need a list that you haven't seen, I can probably shoot one.
Good to know.
There'll be some gems on there. There's a lot of shows that, how someone's always like, if you had the ability to wipe your memory clean of a show or a movie that you could rewatch again for the first time, what would it be? Like there's a lot of shows I wish I could do that and just rewatch fresh without knowing anything about it.
Fair. That's
but I could give you that opportunity.
that would be awesome, and I would definitely take you up on that because I'm always running out of shows to watch.
You know how to reach me.
I do, and I will take you up on that. Okay, so with that out of the way, I do want to say before we transition to our segments that obviously, one, we're very glad that you came on, and two,
yes,
I'm glad that there's other people out there who are as obsessed with TV and watching TV as we are. I know that sounds weird to some people, but like, I don't know, like TV watching it's a great way to spend time. I almost always have the TV on if I'm not actively like on the computer doing stuff.
I was a latchkey kid growing up where my parents were at work when I got home from school, and I pretty much was raised by the TV until they got home from work. So, I mean,
Gotcha.
I kind of literally grew up watching TV, so it's kind of always been there for me.
Okay. See, I had the opposite experience. I was very much so like my mom was stay at home, dad worked, and we were homeschooled and everything. And so my mom was very much so like if it wasn't cold outside, like too cold, it was get your ass outside, go play. And they kept us from TV and electronics for such a long time that like when I go stay with Jake and his family, that's all we would do is, read comics and watch TV.
Yeah, we were definitely. I have a younger sister. She's 2 years younger. So, I mean, back then, early '90s, it was a much different time where parents could trust their kids to be home alone for a while, and I played a lot of sports growing up, so I was always out running the roads with my friends in the neighborhood as well. But in the rainy days when you can't go out or whatever, I'm there watching TV, whether it's the X-Men comic book show or the animated TV series like I showed you, which rolled into the Batman animated TV show.
Yeah.
Or when I was older and I'm watching to see if Limp Bizkit or Linkin Park get the #1 spot on TRL. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like I said, TV's always been there. So I mean, it's not for everybody. I get it. My wife's not a huge TV watcher. She just never was. And it's not for everybody, but I'm definitely in the camp of it's a big part of my life.
That's awesome though, and I completely understand that. So we're going to move over to our first little segment called Shenanigans.
Our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Shenanigans! Shenanigans! Shenanigans!
For
I
David
swear to
Sack.
God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says
I'm not
shenanigans.
sure how long it is.
Well, you talked over it, so way to go. I hate you, but I don't have a fancy mixer set up yet so that I can make it to where you guys can hear it. Otherwise, I would.
I know.
All right, but go ahead with your little game to play with Philly here.
Okay, so today we are going to be playing one-star review Guess Who. What I've done is I went on Amazon and I went through your favorite shows that you gave us and I looked at one-star reviews for them. And I took ones that either made me laugh when I read them or that I went, this would be really hard to figure out given how similar some of these shows are. So you're going to try to guess which one of those 5 shows this one-star review is describing.
Okay. I got it. So one of the 5 I sent David.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
So this first one goes, it's very simple. It's the title is TV shows are horrible. And the review just says, TV shows are horrible. People said Oz was an amazing show. Watched it 3 minutes before becoming bored. Watch movies instead. TV is horrible.
The Wire.
That is, in fact, The Wire.
Ooh, I feel like Philly's gonna roll through these.
I'll tell you 2 reasons why it's The Wire. Why that was easy. One, because Oz was an HBO show and The Wire is on HBO. That was an instant giveaway. And 2, well, 3 things. 2, anybody that references Oz is not going to reference the other 4 shows I'll send you in their review. But 3, it's also, I feel like, the slowest starting show of those 5. I feel like you really got to give it 4 or 5 episodes to for the different characters to hook you.
Gotcha. Yeah, you really nailed that one. I thought that was going to be one of the hard ones.
Philly's gonna roll through these.
I know my shows, man.
Okay, moving on to the next one.
Yeah.
Recommended by my grandfather, but not my cup of tea. I was all excited when I read reviews, but this type of show is not for me. I like a good mystery or police drama, but not too much violence, and the premise of the show really turned me off.
Interesting. It's not reference. Give it. My grandfather told you to watch this.
That's why I chose this review, because that particular line.
That threw me off. Can you read it again?
Recommended by my grandfather, but not my cup of tea. I was all excited when I read reviews, but this type of show is not for me. I like a good mystery or police drama, but not too much violence, and the premise of the show really turned me off.
I'm gonna guess Dexter.
Understandable. No, that was Breaking Bad.
My second guess was actually going to be Sun, so I would have been wrong either way. I guess Dexter because they liked cop shows, and there's a lot of, obviously, him working for the cops. There's a lot of cop stuff in there.
Right.
The cop thing threw me off. That's why I wasn't even thinking Breaking Bad. But
I also thought Sons of Anarchy.
Breaking Bad's definitely not for some people. I get that.
No.
Another show that didn't start off really quick.
Yeah.
Really. It just kind of was with Walter crying about being sick and miserable at his job, and Jesse being a buffoon and not really knowing what the hell he's doing. But
yeah.
I just like the idea of this like cutting edge grandfather out there.
Exactly. That's wild. That's wild. You gotta have a cool family if your grandfather's like, yo, check this shit out.
Full of drugs.
This chemistry teacher turns into a drug kingpin, bro. Check it out.
See, I'm not gonna lie, that's what led me to the Suns guess. because I just thought like, okay, well, it's the old biker grandpa, right? Like,
Yeah, I thought the reason I went with Dexter is because he said he liked cop shows, but this wasn't for him. I
right.
pictured like, well, this guy works for the cops, but he also brutally murders people every episode. So that might have been the twist they weren't expecting.
Yeah.
But, oh well, one for two.
Okay, this one I chose because it also dunks on one of the other shows on your list. But it
Now,
goes.
are all sorry, are these ones that you picked, like, are any of them duplicates, or can I like not worry about those two shows for the rest of it?
Some of them are duplicates.
Okay. I was just curious.
This one goes. A very good friend recommended this as perhaps one of the best TV shows ever. So I bought season 1. Now I appreciate Law and Order even more. Sorry, I prefer a more intelligent script. Nonsensical, trashy, cheap shock value laden soap opera. The worst show I've seen since Lost.
Oh wow, I actually was gonna choose Lost.
This comment leaver is a jerk.
I'm gonna go Sons.
Incorrect. Weirdly enough, this was also The Wire.
Wow. Okay. There are
Weird.
people with bad opinions. It's all good.
Oh yeah, that's part of the fun for this.
Yeah, they're all bad opinions.
I get why some people wouldn't put Lost in their top 5, let alone top 100 TV shows. I get that. There's a lot of things to dislike about Lost, and I again, going back to me being a realist thing, I get that from some people's perspective. I don't hate on people that hate on Lost. I understand why a lot of people got frustrated with that show. I was just not one of them.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah. And Dexter, after the Trinity Killer season, that was pretty awful as well. When they changed showrunners, that show completely took a turn for the worse. If they would have just ended it after the Trinity Killer season, when he found her in the tub with the blood everywhere, that would have been the most lit finale ever, like series finale. I didn't dislike the seasons after that, but when they changed showrunners, you can definitely tell the feel of the show changed, and I think the how brutal Dexter got in some of his entanglements with the antagonists in the seasons following wasn't as intense, in my opinion, as the first 3 seasons.
Yeah. It didn't feel as smart either.
Yeah, no, not as smart. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
There was definitely more mystery to the first 3 seasons, and like especially the first season where you didn't really necessarily know who the killer was. They kind of kept it like till midway through, like who the actual killer was. Obviously, the Trinity Killer, you knew who the killer was the whole season, but that finale where he just walks in and Harrison sitting in the blood, which is full circle from him sitting in, his parents' blood, like that full circleness of the writing was just perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree.
And the shock value, because you didn't necessarily ever really picture her getting killed off.
Right.
You know what I mean? So someone that close to Dexter actually getting taken out was I didn't expect that. I thought that they would hint danger at the people closest to him, but like he'd always find a way to get ahead of it. And when he couldn't get ahead of the Trinity Killer, like I was just like, holy shit.
Yep. Yeah, no.
Sorry, I don't mean to train wreck or derail your
No.
Oh,
You're fine.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, I actually only have one of these left. And it is simply, didn't like this show at all. Drugs and violence are not entertainment.
It's either Sons or Breaking Bad. I guess The Wire could count too, but would you do 3 for The Wire? Probably not. Actually, I don't know you, Jacob. Maybe you would. But I'm going to guess that you didn't do 3 for The Wire. So it's either Sons or Breaking Bad. Drugs and violence. Sons is more violent than Breaking Bad for the most part, from a week-to-week basis. So I'm going to go with Sons.
You are correct. It is Sons of Anarchy.
I think I got like 50% almost, right? Like we broke even.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
and you got the ones that I thought were going to be super hard too.
Yeah.
Man, these are so vague. He'll never get these ones. Those ones you
Bam.
fucking nailed.
Yeah, I just
That's-
figured Sons had a more. Breaking Bad had more drugs,
Yeah.
but Sons of Anarchy had more violence on a
Yeah.
basis.
Ooh, by far.
It's a much more of a Kyle show.
Yeah, I did watch through all of Sons.
Yeah.
I know.
I love Sons.
I
I even watched the Mayans now, the spinoff.
I want to finish Sons. I actually got to meet one of the actors who plays the lead character before I knew what Sons of Anarchy was. Like I knew what it was, but I didn't I'd never seen an episode. And they were at the Cheyenne Comic-Con of all things here in Wyoming, and got to meet him, and then
That's
started
cool.
watching the show later.
Which character was it?
It's so I've only watched a couple episodes. It's he plays like the main lead character, the main biker that you follow.
The
got,
younger one? Jack,
yes, the
blonde
young guy, Jack.
Charlie Hunnam.
Yep, that's it.
I got you.
I knew it
The,
started with a J.
There are very few. I'm not a crier. I'm not a guy that really balls up a lot. But Sons is one of those shows that had several moments where a character gets murdered or killed or taken out, where I actually shed a tear. Where I'm like, wow, this is really fucking sad. Lost had a couple moments like that, and Sons had a couple moments like that for me that were just tough as just a human. To I felt so bad for someone in that particular scene where I'm not a crier, but I actually shed tears. God damn.
Right.
Rough.
Yeah.
The writing is just so amazing in Sons. And it's one of those shows, I feel like I like a lot of shows like this where nobody's untouchable. Where at any moment someone could get axed and even if it's your favorite character. Like Game of Thrones was like that for me, because I started watching Game of Thrones because I really like Sean Bean and I really like Jason Momoa. So after the first season, I was fucked because they both died. So I'm like, I had to start latching onto other characters because the two reasons I started watching the show were gone. And again, I just obviously watched the rest of it, as even though some of the scenes were better than others. But so that's on the list of shows where no one's untouchable. Sons is like that. Lost is like that. Even The Wire's like that. Dexter, obviously, Dexter's not going to die. Right. And it takes a little bit away from it, because if that character's in impending doom, in the end, he's going to live. Like Jack Bauer's, he's in some shit, but he's going to make the next episode because it's Jack Bauer in 24.
Right.
Who are you going to follow if he's dead? And in a way, as bad as this may piss you off, Breaking Bad is kind of that way. Mm-hmm. Kind of felt like Walter and Jesse were making it to the end, no matter what. So those scenes where they were kind of in peril didn't have the impact that maybe some of those other shows had, because of that back of your mind, like they're gonna make it. They're gonna be all right. Yeah, they might go through some shit, and they might not be the same when they come out the other end, but they're gonna make it.
Yeah.
But Lost, Sons, The Wire, there's several other shows. Prison Break actually was a show I really enjoyed that has like that, where at any moment, even if he's your favorite character, you could be gone.
Yeah.
And I enjoy stuff like that. It keeps you on the edge of your seat, because anything can happen, literally anything.
Yep.
Unlike some shows where you kind of can hedge your bets that this probably ain't ever really gonna happen.
Right. Yeah. That is unfortunate. Yeah. I have to agree with you, and I think that's why the finale of Breaking Bad was so just like, what? Because you do, Walt is going to figure a way out of this. He's too smart for everyone. And then, never mind.
Yeah, the only reason I'll slightly disagree. Granted, I didn't expect him to go out like that.
Mm-hmm.
But from his perspective, he kind of goes through the seasons trying to just, make as much money for his family, so when he's gone, they can survive on whatever he leaves them. That was kind of his MO from the beginning of this whole partnership with Jesse, was let me just do what I can do to leave Skylar, and Junior stuff, so they're maybe not well off, but at least okay when I'm gone. Right. And that's kind of how he approached everything. like, yes, there was danger, and eventually he became the danger. And like, things got more and more dire as things went on, and obviously the crazy finale with all that. But in his mind, from my perspective, watching him, he kind of like, he went into every situation kind of like, if I don't make it, it's all good because I got this nest egg I've been building for the last 3 seasons. You know what I mean? Like, so I might not make it out of this one, and I'm okay with that because in the beginning that was kind of my MO anyway. So I wasn't shocked that Walter didn't make it, but I definitely wasn't like, oh, he's definitely going to die or anything. Like, I thought it was well done the way that he made the decision at the end to do what he did, especially for Jesse, because obviously he has this whole almost father-son dichotomy with those two throughout, even though sometimes Jesse might not want to be his son. In the end, you know that he would probably do anything for Jesse, and that's what he did. You know, I think that was beautiful the way they made those decisions and acted that out. And no one watched that. I won't say no one, but it would be hard to find someone that watched that show and didn't like Jesse.
Yeah.
Out of all the people that you wanted to survive, if you had to pick one person out of that whole show, it would have been Jesse. So I would have been more shocked if Jesse died and Walter lived than vice versa.
Fair.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
So I think the way they did it was beyond perfect.
Yeah.
Because Walter was trying to die the whole time, basically.
Yeah.
But making money while he was putting himself in these situations.
Yeah.
And in the end, he kind of did what he set out to do. It just took a lot longer than he probably expected. I just thought well written, beautifully written.
Yep. Yeah, no, it was a great show. All right, so that leaves the last thing as our last little segment. And I don't know what's going to happen. So part of this and part of our shtick, if you will, is our buddy Kyle here is known for being a little chaotic and just off the wall. Wait, did y'all just freeze?
Froze.
Yeah, it did. Everyone froze for me, except for me. Oh, there it goes.
Okay, you guys are back. Yeah, everybody froze for a second. I'm back.
That was weird.
Yeah.
Internet connection is unstable. All right, whatever. That's screw you, Zoom. No, it's not. OBS is telling me it's fine. Maybe. Never mind. There it goes. Okay. Gonna wait for everything to stabilize here before we move on to the last little bit. It's stabilizing.
Oh,
Very
Shay's
tragic
here.
timing,
Listen to
Shay.
this.
This is gonna give me so much more editing to do.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
always
yeah.
fun. The downside of content creation, all the time it takes to do the things behind the scenes.
Right.
The front of the camera part's the fun part. The rest of it is the work.
Amen.
Yep.
Like I'm sure my wife is over the time it takes me to go back and cut my highlights from my streams to make my TikTok content. She's beyond over it at this point. But
Right. Okay, there we go. Everything's back. Everything's stabilized. So to move into the final segment of the show, again, our shtick is Kyle being a little chaotic and weird. So part of what we did is Jake and I kind of control and plan most of our content. We give him about 15 minutes and we don't plan what he's going to ask you or say or do at all. So one, I apologize. And two, I feel like once again I have to make the disclaimer that Kyle and his opinions do not express the opinions and views of Let's Play Death Ray for legal reasons.
that's fair. That's fair.
All right, Kyle, let's see if you can live up to chat's expectations. He got roasted on our first episode because we're
so bad.
The
Why did you
chat
roast him?
enough.
Why did he get roasted?
because the chat didn't think that he was chaotic enough.
Oh,
They were like, "This is like a job interview. You're boring."
is this chaotic, like fast paced, like rapid fire questions, or
No,
what kind of chaos were they expecting? Just
I don't know.
insane questions.
Yeah.
I think, I think it's insanity is really what they were after.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. So, got some questions. They're completely off the wall and they have no meaning behind them.
Cool.
First one is, could you be your own grandpa?
Could I be my own grandpa?
Playing it off of Futurama's Fry.
I guess like in a movie like Looper, I could be my own grandfather. Yeah, sure, why not? My grandfather's dope as shit. He's just the old dude that sits down there in Delaware now watching like Eagles games, still yelling at him like he lives back up here in Philly like he used to. Every time I go down there, I'm like, how about them Eagles? He's like, motherfuckers. I'll probably be him in 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay. Next question.
My dad's long gone, but my mom's dad's.
Yeah. That's hard. So next question is, where would you never like to go?
Where would I never like to go? Is this a physical thing or
Can
I take this anywhere I want?
Anywhere.
Where would I never like to go? Where would I never like to go? Physically, I'd never like to go anywhere that is like ridiculously hot. I hate warm weather, like above 90. I'm good. I don't need to be above 85 if I'm being dead serious. So like my wife is the exact opposite. She would buy a house on the sun if it was possible. So I would never like to go to like desert land area. I don't need to be in the heat like that. I might not even make it out alive. You send me somewhere cold, give me a pair of shorts and maybe a long sleeve shirt, I'm good. I go skiing in shorts. Like cold don't bother me, but extreme heat, I'm out. So if you're going physical, literal answer to your question, it's like hot, really, really warm places. I'm out. Don't take me.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to think of an interesting non-literal answer, but I just haven't thought of one yet. If I do, I'll interrupt you.
All right. All right. Then next question is, if you had to kill one of us, who would it be?
Interesting. Not David. Just because I've built the strongest connection with David, so he's out of Kyle and Jacob. You said you like the Clooney Batman, Jacob. You gotta.
Death to Jake.
You're out. I'm sorry, bro.
All right.
If I have to die for a cause, I'm happy to die for campiness.
There you go.
Tune in next week when it's just me and Kyle.
Like Kyle's done nothing. Kyle's done nor said anything where I disagreed. But I guess that's the one thing I have to separate Kyle and Jacob. So.
I feel like that's my main problem too. I've never do anything that really upsets anyone.
You're
to
just
a point.
You're a line walker. You're right down the middle.
I'm here.
It's good and bad.
By the way,
it's good and bad. Some people can get away with never ruffling feathers. You know what I mean? Kind of being the guy that's there and everybody likes and doesn't hate. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with it. Some people just choose to go the other direction, be very polarizing.
Yeah.
So, what?
Kyle's the type of person for everyone except for me, where he can disagree with like the basis of your entire existence and be like, but I can see your point. I'm gonna walk this way, but and then it's me, and then it can be something as simple as soda, and he's like, you're wrong, and you should die for it.
Yeah. Why not? Soda's great, even though I have to give it up if certain goals are met. So this is probably something you don't know about, but I figured I'd ask. Thoughts on Butishi? It's a Japanese sports played in high school.
Can you give background of it? Because I have no idea.
Sure. It's two teams. They have 30 people on a team. Their goal is to keep a pole standing straight up. They have one guy that's allowed to stand on top of the pole, and the rest of the team will surround the pole to prevent other teams from tipping it, the other teams can full on tackle or climb over the opponents.
Mm-hmm.
And
how tall are the poles?
They're about, I want to say 12 feet tall.
Okay.
I think they're an even 20.
Are they?
I think
But
so. I
also-
actually know this. I didn't know that's what it was called. I've seen it. It's insane.
So the winner is just whoever's pole's not knocked down?
Yes,
Yep.
but also their protective gear is on the same level as rugby.
Mm-hmm. So like cups and mouth guards. That's it.
Yep.
Okay. Can you use your pole to knock the other pole down?
No, because
Okay.
it's so heavy you can't.
And you're just in like an open field, like
Yep, open field. It's
Okay.
like sometimes it's a soccer field, sometimes a bigger field, but it's
Right, right,
flat
right.
land.
okay. Yeah, I'm definitely in. I'd watch that on ESPN2 or whatever the hell plays at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down. I think it'd be awesome to see the different strats. I like
Yeah.
to think about things from a strategic point of view, like especially sports. And yeah, I'd totally watch that
Yeah.
for
That's what I
sure.
thought.
30
Yeah.
on 30?
Yeah.
That's
It's-
wild in itself. Can you like make like a human catapult and like launch your teammates at their pole?
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
totally.
As long as it's
Totally.
it's any
I'm
rule
totally
goes, long as the pole goes to the ground.
And I'm getting as many jacked male gymnasts and cheerleaders as I can to build those huge
Yeah.
pyramids and just fling the heaviest dude at the other team's pole.
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally. I'm all in. I might buy a jersey and everything, start rooting for a team. I'm in. Send me the name of that. I'm gonna Google some videos.
All right. Yeah. No problem. It's phenomenal to watch
Oh, I'd
just to
totally
see
watch
these
that.
guys. I've literally seen one guy pull off a martial art move where they literally run across the people.
Oh yeah.
Like
It's
on
just
their heads.
Fucking awesome.
It'll be like that fight scene in the Matrix or in the playground.
Yeah.
I'm totally in. And there's just an old lady on the bench in the corner, like, I saw this happen.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm 100% in.
All right. Last question I have is, who's your most hated streamer?
My most hated?
Wow.
Like it has to be like one like a bigger streamer that you guys all know, like type deal.
No, it's just someone you just straight up hate.
It's
No one
tough because, like,
publicly-
it's tough because if like I hate somebody, I just don't pay attention to them. Like I just if something that is, you know, not something I enjoy, I don't have it in my life. So like it's tough to say hate because if I hated somebody, I just stop watching them and don't ever think about them again. So if it comes, the only thing I'll say is if it's like a big streamer, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of, but I don't hate them.
Right.
Like I feel like XQC goes in that category because his chat just like gatekeeps that stream like ridiculously to the point where I'm the kind of guy who will tune in every once in a while to watch him, and I feel like I'm just not wanted in that chat if I'm not like an everydayer kind of guy, and I'm not in XQC stream. So I hate his chat. I don't hate him though. If that comes close to answering what you were
The
looking
community
for.
does come along with the streamer.
I want to.
Yeah, for sure. And some are more toxic than others, 100%. And his is at the top of that list.
Yeah.
Trainwrecks is another one where I love Train, but his chat's kind of a bunch of shitheads. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. But then you also have like streamers like the female shit, like Pokemon and stuff, where like it's just a bunch of 13-year-old dudes saying, "Show me your tits." Like that gets annoying. As it's not the same toxicity as XQCs and Trainwrecks, but it's still mad annoying. So like those kind of streamers, like I'll like usually watch on my phone and I'll just close the chat so I can't see chat and just enjoy what the streamers give me. You know what I mean? There's definitely some streamers where I'll just ignore their chat because it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
I don't really hate streamers because being one for like 10 years, I know how hard it is to just sit in front of a camera and play a game, let alone sit in front of a camera, play a game, try to connect with people, whether you have 5 people in your chat or 500 people or 5,000 people in your chat. And it's there's so many things that go on with streaming that most people that have never streamed before even can comprehend. In content creation alone, you could just be a YouTuber or whatever, but they all come with their own ups and downs and hardships. So I definitely don't hate streamers because I know what it's like to be that, like to go through what you have to go through. Obviously, I don't know what it's like to be Nick Merchant in the Tavern or somebody with 50,000 viewers watching me every day. I've never been that. I've felt like that for a month in the summer, and this goes to clowns. He asked me a question earlier in the stream what it was like to get a shout out from Tim last week, which was wild. I was literally getting set up for my stream, and like 15 minutes before my stream went live, I always watch Tim in the morning, and I have like an earbud in if I'm doing stuff on the house and just listening, because even those guys are fun to listen to. Let alone you don't even have to watch them. Him and like Mercs and all that. But so when the shout out happened, I was like, oh my god! And I like got on the PC, I went to his stream, I clipped it, I edited for TikTok, I threw it up before it even went live. That was wild. But the reason going back to Clown's question was in the summer, Tim hosted me in June 3 times for like almost 80,000 viewers total. And a lot of them hung out for like the whole, like the next 2-3 weeks. People gifted crazy, like I had like 700 subs at one point, which is unreal for my channel. And the chat was one of those chats where it was just like text, just it was like I couldn't keep up. And I'm one of those guys where I have a small community, and I love those guys, but they obviously chat doesn't go a mile a minute, so I can be more personable. I can get to know the viewers on more than just a hey, you're a name in my chat. Like there's a lot of viewers that I know a lot about them, and they obviously know a lot about me, but I feel like there's some viewers that started out as viewers and now they're some of my really good friends because I've been able to build that connection. And that's the reason I started streaming. I just, when it's right after Justin TV sold and it became Twitch, there was a couple streamers like Gold Glove and Cream, if you guys ever know those guys. They were the ones, the first 2 I ever followed, and they were playing like Gears of War 3 at the time. And I was like, this looks like so much fun. I had done a little bit of YouTube before that, but YouTube is a different beast because you do all this stuff and then you film it and you cut it up, but you're not getting that instant reaction when people watch it.
Right.
You just get the comment section, which is nice. It's cool. You get great feedback and shitty feedback, but you get their opinions of you, but it's not instant, and it doesn't have that connection that Twitch has or any like instant streaming service, whether it's Facebook gaming or whatever. But like when I started doing it, I just love the fact that I could meet all these people that have something in common with me, the game I'm playing, and I can talk to them about it, and then I can get to know them on a more personal level. And then like I said, I made a lot of really good friends since then. David, I was talking to you about Sab Warden before this stream started, and I met Sab, one of the first people I met in a chat early on, and now he's one of my really good friends. I've known him for like 10 years, and I met him through Twitch, just like a lot of people that I talk to almost on a daily basis, or at least a weekly basis. I text back and forth with people, and I met them on Twitch because I was able to use this platform the way I wanted to and connect with a lot of really awesome people and get that instant back and forth communication and conversation. It's wild because like there'll be days where I'm not having the best day, and I might not be. I'm a very competitive person, which is one of the reasons I got into video games anyway. I played a lot of sports growing up, but then as I got older, the sports I played became less and less. And like video games was like my way to have a competitive outlet still, because I've always been a competitive person. And there are days where I try not to let the competitive side get to me anymore. I try to just have fun with it, whether I win or lose. But boy, I hate to lose. And there are days where I let it get to me, and I hate when I do. But I'm human, and some days it does. And there'll be people that just came to that chat that day that try to like pep me up. And like, there's this one guy, Maurice. He's maybe been around for a month or 2 now, and the first day he came in, he's like Mr. Positivity. Like my house could catch on fire, and he'd be like, "It's all good, bro. Like, just smile. You work your way through it. Tomorrow's a different day. You know, we'll just take this step by step, and you'll be all right, bro." Like, he's just like the ultimate ray of sunshine kind of dude. And like, it's crazy that people you've never met, people you may never meet, that are just words on a screen, can affect you on a day-to-day basis, a stream-to-stream basis. And over time, almost kind of change who you are for the better. Um, I just think there's so many positives to not only video games but streaming in general that um, if you've never been a streamer, you've never experienced, and I hope one day you get to because it's really awesome.
Yeah. There's so much of that there that I absolutely agree with. I mean, Gold Dome in the chat is one of those dudes. Like, we met him. Like most of the really tight knit in our community, we've met through other means. But a few of them, like Philly Fox and Gold Dome, we've met through content creation. Gold Dome, we actually met through our podcast, our non-visual podcast for Malcolm in the Middle, and now he's a really close friend. And same thing, we text with him, we talk with him. Same with Philly Fox. That dude's an absolute legend. He and Jake have a rivalry going. That's kind of,
let's not get carried away comparing Eric and Philly Fox. Go,
but
Eric's great.
But legitimately, and I mean, I've reconnected with. It's so crazy. Twitch. So a very good friend of mine, he's actually coming on next week. Elmer Fudd Games. I knew him in real life, and I did military simulation airsoft, and that sport completely disappeared in Wyoming. Everyone stopped doing it in Wyoming and most of Colorado, and I never thought I'd talk to Elmer again ever. And then I found out that he streamed. And it's crazy because now we talk all the time. We co-host events, we co-stream, and all kinds of stuff from time to time. And years down the line, So, no, I exactly agree with you. While obviously we're all looking to grow, I'm very happy with the slow, the community building grow rather than the. Yeah.
I've always looked at streaming as a journey. You want to get to that point where you can do it as a living, to be financially stable as a streamer, have a channel big enough where you don't have to necessarily become a timer, but you can be big enough where it can be your full-time gig.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of those things where if you do what you love for work, you never work a day in your life, kind of thing that people talk about. Like that's the goal, right? That's the end goal that you want to get to. But the journey to get there from where you start is just as important to have fun with than how much fun you think you'd have if you reach that. Because you're gonna spend so much more time in that journey phase than you would be at the end point, the pinnacle.
Yeah.
Like I've been posting a lot of stuff to TikTok the past couple of months and been able to talk to a lot of people that have just started streaming, and they ask me a ton of questions because people that like my content or that follow me on TikTok, I always follow back because then it opens up the DMs where they can communicate with you, and I'm all about communication and like community building and stuff. And like people DM me all the time and ask me shooting questions like, yo, I just started like 3 months ago. Do you have any tips? And like, I always have like full heart-to-heart conversations with these people if they're into it, and basically be like, you can't go into this thinking that overnight you're going to be a success, and you can't go into this worrying about the viewer number because it's going to crush you. You're going to have days where you're like, F this, I'm out. I only have 2 viewers. It's not for me. If you ever have your viewer account open, your live concurrent number, you're gonna give up. It's not gonna work out unless you're a masochist and you hate yourself. But there's definitely things that you have to do along the way to enjoy the journey as much as possible. You'll never reach the destination you're trying to get to.
Yeah. That's why I started this podcast. We mentioned it earlier. There's 8,000 podcasts that are just talking about streaming and content creation and stuff like that. But you mentioned communication. Like, I network and build and get closer to people through conversation. Like, I don't care about your numbers. I don't care as much about, like, don't get me wrong, I'll listen to your tips and tricks. Like, if you're more successful than me, give me advice. But at the same time, like, the reality of it is I want to get to know you as a person. And if we vibe, awesome. If we don't, okay, cool. Like, you do you, and, we'll see you around.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a lot of selfish people on Twitch that they're just in it for them, and they don't give a fuck about you.
Yeah.
That's an unfortunate side of Twitch, but there's definitely people like you and I that just want to see everybody grow.
Yeah.
And we want to grow together. It's kind of like We just want to see all the ships rise. We don't care which ones rise higher as long as we're all rising.
Yeah.
But then there's those dudes that are just like in it for themselves, and they're not all about networking or what they could do to help you. They just want to know what you can do to help them. And they're the ones that 9 times out of 10 ain't gonna make it, and that's on them. It's their fault.
Yeah,
that's not how this thing's done. So
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly. We were having that conversation last night with Philly Fox and talking about how so many people who started this when we started taking it seriously and really pursuing it as something that we wanted to build, they're gone. Like,
I've been a part of several organizations like gaming orgs, and it's very obvious early on who are in that to like team build, community build, work together, and who's just like in it for the quick like post or like the quick follow for follow type deal. And they just don't last, and they don't get it. They don't understand how this whole thing works, and that's on them, because there's plenty of people out there that'll tell you how it works. Not like it's a secret.
No.
It really comes down to who likes your personality and who likes your delivery and who likes the quality of your content in the end. Like I can stream the same game that someone else streams, and they just might like that other guy more. They might like they might like how he looks better. And that's just something that's just different from person to person. I can play Call of Duty just as good as Nick Merckx, but if they just like his attitude or how he looks better, they're just going to follow him, and there's nothing to do about that because I'm me. And I get that. And there's a lot of kids on Twitch, and I'm almost 40. They do not relate to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a ton of them that are like, this dude, he's got the gray hairs. He's old
looks
as
funny.
shit. Yeah, I look funny. I talk with a Philly accent every once in a while. Like, I'm not going to relate to a ton of people, and I get that. But there are people that just enjoy my content and my personality, and that's cool too. Speaking of Philly Fox, real quick though, I can't play Among Us with it anymore. Because every time he fucking kills somebody, they're like, I saw Philly kill people, and then I get voted off. So fuck you, Philly Fox.
That's fair.
I saw Philly kill someone. I'm like, I'm not a fucking imposter. And I get voted off anyway.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Fucking Philly Fox. All right, Kyle, did you have other stuff planned? We did totally jack.
That was it.
That was it? All right.
Yep.
Fun.
Oregon for us? Oregon.
Yeah, it's Oregon.
Oregon. How'd you think I was going to say?
Were you looking for like an Oregon?
Oregon. We say like water instead of water.
I can't play with myself on games either. Philly Fox, yeah, you can't play Among Us, period, anymore. We played for the first time in a while last night, and we discovered that Philly Fox is never given imposter anymore, and I get killed first round every time. So
playing that game as a streamer is so tough.
It is
for multiple reasons. One, sometimes people just want to kill you because you're the streamer, and it's funny to kill the streamer. So you find yourself dead more often than not, which sucks. But it's a game unlike most, where it brings a different dichotomy of having to lie to people over and over again, which isn't something you see all the time.
Right.
Like usually lying's looked at as a bad thing, but here, if you're really good at it, it's looked at as a good thing. So it's definitely an interesting game for sure.
Right.
I know you've been a part of some of those lobbies.
Yeah, absolutely I have. And when people aren't stream sniping you, it was a ton of fun. I loved it.
It's tough. I wish there was a way around that, but
right.
It is what it is. Comes with its good and bad.
All right. Well, before we wrap up, would go ahead and plug yourself, and where can people find you?
Yeah, Twitch, PhillyRampage, all one word. All the other socials are the same. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. TikTok's the only different. It's PhillyRampage _ because some random dude took my fucking name on TikTok.
That son of a bitch.
You and everyone else.
It's really annoying because I just like having the continuity of the same name across the platform. But TikTok is under PhillyRampage _ and I've actually been spending a ton of time uploading at least twice a day on TikTok, because the TikTok in itself has been such an amazing app to get new eyeballs on your content. It's unreal. Like the people that see your Twitter stuff, people that follow you on Twitter. The people that see your Instagram posts are the people that follow you on Instagram. YouTube's a little different because sometimes people can find your videos without actually searching yours because they're recommended. But it's not nearly as much as the For You page where new eyeballs are seeing your stuff constantly.
Right.
As TikTok. It's been amazing. And if you're a streamer that doesn't post your content to TikTok, you're missing out. I wish I got on the TikTok train way before I did because I way behind the ball. But now that I'm starting to get momentum, it's been amazing. A lot of people see that and you get to bring people from the TikTok content over to Twitch because Twitch obviously is one of the worst platforms to try to get new eyeballs to your content. But TikTok has been a great gateway to get those eyeballs on your content, and people that would have never, ever found my content in a million years if I didn't do TikTok now can and have, and it's been an awesome experience. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about TikTok, but I agree that you can't, like, realistically, if you want to take this seriously, you can't not be posting your stuff on other platforms.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. And I stream Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4:30, 9:30 Eastern.
Perfect.
I've been playing a lot of Rocket League, but I still play other games like Call of Duty, Apex Legends, Rainbow Six Siege, a couple others. And I play with viewers all the time, so if anybody wants to stop that.
Awesome. And I strongly encourage you guys to stop by. I don't even remember how I found your channel, honestly, but
it was during the Among Us
time.
I know that. I remember that.
Well, you were also doing Valorant at the time. The very first stream I watched yours, you were doing Valorant, and I was just like, okay, this dude's chill. And then I still believe that. And then we ended up playing Among Us, and it was a ton of fun. And I love stopping in the stream when I can. Obviously, my full-time job is but
we all get busy. I get it, but when I do get to hang out, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you coming on. And this was a ton of fun.
Anytime, man. I'll come back and geek out with you guys whenever.
Heck yeah, I love it.